Today we are tier ranking bookish worlds. The twist to this is that I'm not ranking based on how much I like this world, but ranking on how I would live in this world, aka am I living my best life to would I die within 24 hours. In preparation for today's rankings, I actually had a really hard time finding enough worlds to kind of tier rank because I've read so much contemporary romance recently and it felt weird including that in these lists. Like, you're just living in the normal world. Like, I'm sure I would be fine in whatever city I'm in. So I wanted to kind of steer more towards fantasy or fantasy adjacent worlds, or like worlds that are just hyper specific. What this is really telling me is that I need to step up my fantasy game in the next few months so that I can do this video again in a few years and have new worlds to kind of escape into. Alright, without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about my tiers. So again, we are ranking based off of how I personally would live in these worlds. And so up at the top, we have living my best life, aka like I am absolutely thriving in this world. It's better than the world I live in now. I would be so happy in this life, like top tier, like I'm living my best life. Underneath that, I'd have a good life, as in like I would live a good life. I wouldn't be struggling. I'd be as happy as I am now. Things aren't disastrous. Like I'm having a good life here. In the middle is a little bit of a cop-out. It's can I be a tourist? AKA like I like the idea of this world. I think I'd have a good time, but like I want to come back to my normal everyday life. I know it's a bit of a cop-out, but I put it in here anyway, and I'm curious to see how many I'm going to cop out and put into this category. And then on the lower side, I might survive a few years. As in, maybe I'd have a good life while I'm there, but like I'm just not built for this world. Like I'm gonna die. Or I'm not having a good life, but I will survive longer than like the first week. And at the very end, I would die within 24 hours. I don't think I need to explain this one. Alright, I don't have too many worlds to talk about. Let's go through them. So first up, we have the Bridge Kingdom series by Daniel L. Jensen. This is a really cool fantasy world in which there is like a bridge kingdom, and they guard the bridge that helps facilitate trade between like this northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. And there's a lot of court politics, there's a lot of corruption and a lot of battle, and it's just a very dramatic, really cool story. We're following key players in these wars, so it's gonna be kings, princes, and princesses and whatnot. So if I were one of them, maybe I'd have a better time. But the way that they describe like the normal everyday, like they're out here dying left and right. Like they're in all these battles and they are not living a good life. They're battling gigantic snakes. So I think I might survive a few years, but like I'm gonna die at some point. Like I am not living a long, happy, fulfilled life in this world. Next is the Hunger Games, and I think if we were all a little more real with ourselves, we would all place ourselves in the I would die within 24 hours category. If I get put into the arena during the Hunger Games, I am not making it to the end. Like I am not going to be the victor. I know my faults as a human being. I know I would try to take control of every situation I'm in, and people are going to get sick of me and kill me in my sleep. Like, to be completely honest, that's the most likely way I'm going to go. Now, if I were just living in one of the districts, it would entirely depend on the district, but I live in Virginia, and according to the map, that is District 12. That is Katniss's district, and I don't think I would make it too far into her district either. So yeah, maybe I might survive a few years, but like I'm not living a happy long life here. I put Peter Pan in here because I read it every few years. It's one of my favorite classic stories ever. But there is absolutely no way I would ever want to live in Neverland. So I'm gonna be a tourist just so I could see it. I don't know if any of you have read the original story, but it is a lot darker than the Disney movie makes it out to be. I highly recommend reading it because it is one of my favorite stories. Time is chasing after us all is basically the main theme. But yeah, there's no way I would survive more than a short visit. It's also not nearly as magical as you think it is, so like I would not want to live there. This next one is The Last Wish, and this is the first book in the Geralt of Rivia, kind of the Witcher series, that kind of area. You know, it was a video game and then a book series and a TV show. It's all of this. So I've seen the TV show and I've read the first book thinking that I would enjoy it, and I super did not enjoy it. The dragon on the cover is a hoax because there is no dragon in this book whatsoever. I was very disappointed in that fact. Of the like 2 women that are described in this, we get super detailed descriptions about their bodies, which was gross. And they all die very painful, sad deaths. So yeah, I might survive a few years, but like this is a world not built for women. Payback's a Witch is one of those witchy rom-coms that I absolutely adore. I give them all like 3 to 3.5 stars, every single one of them, but I love them because just the idea of living your little witchy life, getting back at your exes, like just having a good time in your secret little town where nobody else knows you're a witch, like I love it. I love it. I love it. I want to be part of these worlds where like there are these, you know, families and clans and there's garden magic and like spell magic and just all this stuff. I would be so happy living here. I already love studying, I love reading, like I'm gonna thrive in this situation. Next we have The Maze Runner, and I haven't read this in quite a few years, but what I do remember is that they are living in this maze and it is basically survivalist. I'm not too good in those kind of situations, but I am somebody that like needs to be a leader in everything that I do. Like I cannot just sit back and let somebody else tell me what to do. So I think for that fact alone, I might survive a few years, but like I'm not living long. I'm not living a happy life. Like I'm either going to get killed by the maze or the people inside. Like I'm not living long here. Next is the Mead Mishap series by Kimberly Lemming, and this series is wild. They're technically called cozy romances. I don't know if they really are or not, but these people go around, and Mead Mishaps is a great name because they're all drunk and they're causing destruction absolutely everywhere that they go. I think if I had like a sexy shifter boyfriend, then I would have a good life, but the odds of that happening in this world are slim to none. So I think I might survive a few years and like be okay. Alright, I put the Lord of the Rings in here even though I haven't read it since high school because obviously everyone knows about Middle Earth in this world. And I think it entirely depends on who I am in this world. If I'm a human, then that sucks. Like I don't want to be a human in this world, especially a human woman. There's only a few good examples and the rest of it, like it would not line up with who I am as a person. So for that, I would survive a few years and then I'd get too mouthy or something and just get killed off. But if I were anything else, I might be thriving. If I were a hobbit, I would be living my absolute best life. Living in the Shire with just books and food and parties and just like being at home. Oh my god, I would be having the best time of my whole life. Particularly if I have like some took blood in me and I go on an adventure every once in a while, like that's it. That's all I need in my life. Like that is the absolute ideal. I think it'd be less ideal if I were a dwarf. I like working, but not so much, and I definitely need sunlight, so I would survive a few years for that. And then if I were an elf, I couldn't be a forest elf, even though the royalty is beyond hot. I would love watching them. But living in Rivendell would be like the other ideal for me, honestly. Just like the most beautiful place I've ever seen in cinema ever. So I think to balance out like being a hobbit or an elf versus like being a human or a dwarf, I think because I'm cheating, I'm gonna put it into I'd have a good life because it really depends on who I am in this universe. Alright, I put Harry Potter in here even though I also haven't read these books since high school because I've obviously seen the movies a million times. I thrive in a school setting. I thrive off of studying and having friends and like being in this kind of atmosphere where like if I work hard at something, like I'm gonna be really good at it. Like the fact that I could study to become a better witch, like I would be top of the class. Like I would absolutely have everything down. So as I am as a person, like I would be living my absolute best life as a witch at Hogwarts. Like the most, like I already want to live in England and like live in a castle. And I have been to some of the filming locations and the joy I feel there, like I want that life so badly. I don't know how I would do in like a war kind of situation. I imagine I'd like to, you know, be part of the Order of the Phoenix and Dumbledore's army and then I would be there, but who knows in actuality. Alright, the world of Caraval is interesting because I am immediately going to cop out and say, can I be a tourist? Because kind of like the circus comes to town for a little bit, I think I'd like to see it for like a day or two at most and then be like, that's enough fucking craziness for me. I want to go home. Like I don't think anybody really can live in that kind of perpetual state of chaos at all times. I would go crazy. So I think I'd like to see it and then be like, that was fun, I want to go home now. Next is Graceling, and if you haven't heard me talk about it, this is one of my favorite series of all time, and if you take one book away from any of my videos, it's to read the Graceling series. It kind of takes place in our typical like medieval fantasy kind of setting in which there's like kings and castles and farms and whatnot, whatever's in that time period. I think it entirely depends on which kingdom I'm in this situation. because a lot of them are not very nice to women and not very nice to people with gracelings, which are people with powers. But as the books progress and the world gets better, if I had a grace, I would be living a good life, having some kind of power. Assuming, because some of the women in these books, slash some of the graces in these books, have their lives like taken from them and they become like pretty much enslaved to kings and stuff. I think if I were set up in a good situation, I could live very well there. Something else to take away from my channel on my videos is that I am a Percy Jackson stan from day one. My favorite series of all time, if you couldn't tell. But in the actuality of me living in this universe, to be honest, I don't think I'd be living my best life because there's way too much battle for me personally. I'm not huge on the whole fight with swords and stuff. Maybe if that were like my whole life, then maybe I could be, but I hate exercising. I hate going to the gym. So I feel like if my life were on the line, I'd be more inclined to do it. But as I am right now, like that's not gonna be my best life. But I think if I survived all these battles and whatnot, I think I would have a good life. Particularly because I've taken all the tests and of course I am a child of Athena. And if I could be sisters with Annabeth and just like have this kidship and this found family with all these other people, like perpetual summer camp with all of these like really well-rounded, awesome characters, like I'm gonna live a good life here. Even in the Roman camp, if you haven't read the second series, like I think I'd do really well. Like going to university, having this, again, this small tight-knit community, I think I would just be thriving. ACOTAR. It also depends here. Like, am I human? If so, I might survive a few years. They're not gonna be good years because all the humans are having a terrible time in these books. But if I were like a fae in one of the courts, depends on the court. As long as I'm not asked to go to the battlefield, like I would be fine. But considering that most people are in this world, because we live in a time of turmoil in this series, I probably would not make it very long, to be completely honest. If I had some kind of powers, then yeah, maybe. But like more than likely, I'm living like if I lived in the Night Court, like I would be living in Valaris, just like part of Artist Row, and I would probably die. Like I might go down swinging like that old lady. I might survive. Who knows? But I'm living in terror for sure. So I think I would just much rather, I'm such a cop-out, I think I'd much rather just be a tourist and like go and see all the realms and be like, wow, this is so cool and pretty. Goodbye. Alright, the Legend series by Marie Lu is a YA dystopian in which it's like the future of the United States and everyone is kind of like, it's weird because everyone's being watched at all times, and to be like, you know, to go to school or go to university or like kind of level up, you have to be a good person and like come from good family. If you're like born in the slums, you die in the slums kind of thing. My family in real life comes from a middle class background, so like I would be fine in this system. But to be honest, I kind of speak my mind against authority figures that don't really match up with my own ideals. And I always say this, it's a good thing I'm self-employed because I would get fired from every job from speaking my mind. So to be completely honest, like I see the government absolutely taking me out at some point or another, or just like demoting my status to the point where like I'm gonna do something reckless. This next one is the first in the Married to Magic series by Elise Kova. Again, humans are on the other side and they're just living their own medieval-ish time lives. But then on the other side of the Fade, the magical barrier, there live all of these magical creatures. And so for each book, a human pretty much gets stolen from our side and gets taken into this magical world. Now this entirely depends because, again, people be fighting out here, people be dying. Humans are just living their lives, but some of them are fighting every single day, and I would not survive long in that kind of atmosphere. If I were taken into the magical realms, some things would need to go really well. Like I'd need to have some kind of magical lineage or some kind of powers or some kind of, I don't know, something that they want from me to be able to survive longer. So again, I'm gonna be a cheater and put it into can I be a tourist, because I'd like to see these places, but as soon as they break out into their wars, like no thanks. no thanks. The next series, it starts with A Winter's Promise, and I haven't even finished the series because it stresses me out so much, but I think the world is so incredibly cool and so unique. It absolutely drives me crazy because all the authority figures are so corrupt, and again, I cannot stand that. So I think if I lived in that world, I would definitely need to be like silenced or sent away, or just I would disappear one day, like I straight up would disappear. But I would love, I want to hire a tour guide to take me around to all of the worlds, because this world setup is just the most unique thing I've ever heard in my entire life. So living there, I would not survive long, but I would love to see it. And then I want to come back home, please. One Dark Window is the Shepherd King duology, in which basically there's like a tarot deck, and if you have the cards, then you get their magical powers. But of course, the king and the princes are all horribly corrupt, and so people will be dying left and right in this, and they be fighting for their better future. If I were just a normal person, I'd just be out here living in the medieval times, like as we do in our fantasy novels. I'd probably be fine, because almost everything is just between all the royals anyway. Like, yeah, people be dying out here when they get magic, but it doesn't happen too often. So like, I think I'd be fine. I mean, as long as I don't get involved, and like I'm a nobody, so like I'm not getting involved in anything. So I think I'd watch with curiosity from the sidelines with the rest of the townsfolk and be totally good. Alice in Wonderland, I don't know if it's just a me thing, but I would absolutely die within 24 hours. If you let me loose in Wonderland, there is just chaos in there. There are no rules, and honestly, that Cheshire Cat thing is terrifying. Like, I'm gonna either die of a freaking heart attack, or something's gonna eat me, or I'm gonna eat something and then I die. Like, I'm not surviving Wonderland. I don't know, the fact that Alice did and she was a child astounds me to this day. Like, I don't know how she did that, but that story terrifies me. I'm not making it. I'm not making it. Throne of Glass, again, people out here just dying left and right. We are just pawns in the king's games, and if I'm just a person in these worlds, like, yeah, I'd be fine. Like, I'm like a daughter of a middle class. Like, I would just be living in a town and like get the news that Aelin Galathinius has come back, and like, this is the world now, and I'd be like, okay, like, yay. I would not be signing up to go to war, because that is not where my strengths are. It really depends. Like, is my town ransacked, then yeah, I'm gonna die. Like, I'm just part of the crew. But if for some reason I'm like part of the important people in this story, and I'm like tasked to go out and fight with them, like, I imagine I'd have something helping me out, because the way I am now, like, I'm not making it past a single battle. Like, I'm gonna die. So I don't think I'm having a good life out here, because if I'm a nobody, I don't have magic. Like, I'm just living in the medieval times, and a lot of them don't like women. So I'm not living a great life, but I would survive it. Like, I would be fine, assuming that, like, my whole town isn't taken over, because then I'm dead. Pride and Prejudice. Now, I put this in here because it is one of my favorite books of all time, but it's more so a question of, could I personally live in the Regency era? And I've come to the conclusion that it would be awful. Because when I was a youth, I had a few boyfriends. I would flirt willy-nilly, and I know myself, I would get caught with the first nobody, and my reputation would be ruined beyond repair, and I would be turning into a spinster, which honestly is not the worst thing. The alternative is that I get married off to like the first schmub or some old man, and I am not living my good life here. I'd like to think that a duke or a viscount or somebody would come and save me, but like, it's not happening. It's not happening. I wish I had the beauty or the attitude of the best Bennett sisters, but I don't. So I'm gonna get married off like my first season, because I'm an idiot. Next we have The Luminaries, and this is a more recent read for me. It's like if Divergent meant Monster Hunters. Now, living in it, I honestly think it depends, because obviously a big part of their world is that they fight monsters every night and they have to kill them. And to be completely honest, I don't like the dark anyway. Like, I don't like being outside when it's nighttime. I get scared. If you have me walk into a forest in the middle of the night, I'm gonna be terrified, and then I have to fight these unearthly creatures. I'm not surviving that. But not everyone is a hunter. So I think I would live an okay life if I just don't do that. I don't even want to be a tourist. I don't want to see this place. These monsters are terrifying. I think at some point the fear is just gonna get to me and I'm gonna have a heart attack. Or at some point the creatures are just gonna get past the walls and I'm gonna die. Plus this world is just horribly corrupt that I don't think that me and my big mouth would last very long. Faintings and blood. It's like the Viking era with more Norse mythology, in which some people are like blessed with the blood of gods and have these superpowers, but the entire thing is going to battle. As I have discussed, I am not surviving a battlefield. It's not going to happen. So with that, I would die within 24 hours. But there's also the fact that women are just so abused in this book, in this world. Our main girly gets married off to this absolutely horrid guy in the beginning, and I would not survive that. I would not survive that. I would make him so mad that he kills me. Like, yeah. I'm not living through this story. I put this next book in here for a little silly goofy. This is the Gallagher Girls series, and it's like a spy school. And I loved this series as a like middle or high schooler, and I found it again recently and I ate it up so hard. I loved it so much. Again, I thrive in a school setting, kind of learning all this stuff. Like, our main girly is 16 and she knows like 14 different languages. Like, this is the coolest thing to me. So like being in this school setting, it would be awesome. Like, I would absolutely love it. But like, as soon as you turn me out as a spy, like, maybe I'd be okay. Like, I might die within my first mission. Who knows? I think it entirely depends. I don't think it's gonna be my best life, but I think I would live a good life. If you're in the mood for like a silly, goofy YA series, definitely read this one. It is so fun. It gets more serious towards the end. The first book is like eye-rollingly bad, like very middle school. Second book is my favorite. I was giggling and kicking my feet until like 3 o'clock in the morning reading that one, and then it gets more serious as it would go along. The Divergent series. If I'm being completely honest, I would just sort myself into erudite and just be fine. I would be fine. I'd just be in my little smart school and going through. It's not gonna be my best life, but I'd be fine. Now, as soon as the battles start and the world starts crumbling, yeah, who knows? Who knows? But assuming that that's not happening right now, like, I wish I had like a middle ground, being like, I'd be fine. Because, you know, I'm not having my best life, but it's a fine life. I don't particularly love it. I do love my rules, but when somebody tells me their rules, I'm like, no, fuck you. So I think I would be good until the revolution comes, and then who knows. Can't spell treason without T. This is a recent cozy romance for me, and I loved it. I love it's this, the world's best mage and the queen's guardswoman run away together, and they just open up their own bookshop and their tea shop, and they're trying to just live their life. And yeah, they're being threatened by gangs and dragons and stuff, but like the found family in this, like, I'd be going to this bookshop every day. I would have a cozy existence in this town. Like, I'm living a good life here. Even if I'm just like a normal townsperson, I don't have any magic, I don't have any like clout to my name, like, I'm having a good life. Okay, Crescent City series. Again, just assuming I'm a normal person in this show. I don't love cities as a person, but as soon as like whatever freaking power hungry gods start coming, like, I'm being vaporized. Like, I'm not making it. I'm not having a great life because I don't love the city. There's a lot of magic happening, a lot of scary people out there. You think I don't like going out at dark now? Like, I'm not going like outside ever if I can help it. Like, I'm not living a good life here. Ice Planet Barbarians. All right, listen. I was born and raised in Southern California. I hate the cold. First of all, being kidnapped by aliens, like, I'm fighting back and they're probably gonna kill me for that. So that's even if I make it into the ice planet world. But if I get let out into an ice planet, I am going to die. I'm going to be that girl who walked off and just immediately dies. Like, I'm not making it. And then if there's these gigantic blue dudes come out and save us and they're like, we want to have kids with you, I don't want kids. I don't want kids. I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna make it in this world. And especially when like there's no books, there's no technology, there's nothing, and like you just gotta hunt and like sew things, like I'm gonna go crazy. I'm gonna go crazy and I'm not gonna make it. Assuming I make it to the planet and to this cave, I might live a few years, but like it's gonna get to me and I'm gonna disappear one day. Now this next one is a two-parter because How to Train Your Dragon is unironically my favorite movie of all time, and I've watched it so many times. I absolutely love, love, love this movie. The second movie's good. Third movie doesn't exist really in my mind, but this first movie shaped me as a person. I love it so much. And very recently I found the first book, the original book in a used bookstore, and I was like, you know what, I never really wanted to read this, but I'm gonna give it a try. And I wish I had never seen that stupid thing. Whoever created this magical movie from this book was a freaking genius, and I owe them my life. So we all know the movie. It's basically Viking era, but with dragons, and it is just the coolest absolute thing ever. I would have a good life. I don't care that it's still Viking era and I have to do all of my shit, like I have to go fishing or mend things, whatever. I don't care. Dragons, especially, like, okay, when they were fighting, I probably wouldn't have survived very long. But now that we're in a happy Viking era, like, yeah, I want to ride a dragon. Are you kidding me? Would I be terrified? Absolutely. But I think I'd get over it because it's dragons. But in the original books, they are nothing like they are nothing, absolutely nothing like the movies. Because first of all, there's exactly one female character, and it is Hiccup's mother. And she's just like, that's nice, dear. And like, that's the only thing. That's it. That's the only woman. And this series was written by a freaking woman. Like, I don't know why. It's all about little boys. Which pissed me off so much. It's not even funny. And also, the Night Fury, he doesn't get it. The mean guy gets it. He gets a little green dragon, which is just like the simplest dragon ever. And I'm like, what the literal frickety frick is happening in this book? It was awful. It was awful. Considering that I don't even freaking exist in this book because there are no little girls, I might survive a few years, but like, I guess we're all dead. And then these last two I put in here because I realized I didn't have too many book ones. So I put in some of my favorite like visual franchises. So I put the Pirates of the Caribbean series in here, and oh my god, this first movie is one of my favorite movies of all time. If I could be Elizabeth Swann, like, whew. But if I'm truly real with myself, I'm not built for a pirate's life. I'm not. I'm gonna die. As soon as the first battle comes, like, I'm not surviving it. Do you guys get the gist yet? Like, I'm not surviving battles. I wish I was as smart or as good looking as her, but I'm not. So I think I'd survive a few years, but either I'm just gonna die because that's the time period, or I'm gonna die because of the battle. I'm not living a good life in this. I would love to watch it from my screen, but like, I'm not surviving. And lastly is my favorite series of all time, Avatar: The Last Airbender. If you have not watched it, please do yourself the biggest favor and watch this show. I have it absolutely memorized. I could talk about it for literal hours. I watched it live as it came out every Friday night on Nickelodeon when I was 7 years old, and I watched Korra as it came out live too. Like, I am an OG fan, and starting in middle school, once everything had been out, I started watching it once a year, and then I started watching it twice a year all the way into college, and then finally I went back to once a year. So I have seen this show all the way through at least 15 times. Now, personally, I've taken all the tests and whatnot. Like, I would be an Earth Kingdom citizen, as would 90% of the population, to be completely honest. And I've thought about this quite a lot. If I were a bender, I would be living my best life, my absolute best life, and I know that. Thankfully, women in this show have a bit more agency as long as you're not the Northern Water Tribe. So I wouldn't, like, you know, be just like a child bearer or anything like that, hopefully. But if I were a non-bender, I think I'd just be having a normal life, just a normal day-to-day existence. So I think the odds are going to balance each other out, and I'm going to put this into I'd have a good life. Like, if I lived on Kyoshi Island, I'd be having a great life because I would be learning the fan. If I, you know, lived in one of the cities, I probably would not have a great life. I'd have an okay life. But yeah, I think that is going to be our book tier rankings. It doesn't surprise me whatsoever that living my best life is just like normal every day, but like with some magic, like a school setting or like a tight-knit community, like that is my absolute best case scenario. And then having a good life is just adding a bit of magic, or having a good world to fall back on in which I'm not always in danger. There are a lot of worlds I'd like to just see for a little bit and then come back home, and then there are a lot of worlds that I'm in there, and I'm not living a long happy life. I'm not doing it. I'm not a fighter. I'm just an average human being that likes to read. Yeah, I think I'd be okay in most situations. This was really fun to do. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you would survive longer than I would in some situations. If you think, wow, that actually sounds awful, I wouldn't survive at all. Let me know. And also tell me like what book worlds you would add to this, like what books I should read or ones that I have read and I'm just like not thinking of. I went through my spreadsheet so many times trying to look for book worlds, and I don't know why, I just couldn't come up with more. And then let me know if there are any other tier ranking videos that you would like to see. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.